Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining me today because we are going to unpack the story behind one of the most recognizable structures on the planet, the Statue of Liberty. You know her face, we've all seen the pictures, but do you truly know the monumental, decades-long struggle that actually went into her creation? It is a story of incredible vision, groundbreaking engineering, and just relentless determination. And understanding this journey is absolutely crucial to grasping how a single monument came to define American values of freedom on the global stage.
Okay, let's dive into this with a fact that might completely change how you picture this monument. The Statue of Liberty was not always the iconic green we know today. No way. When she was first built, she was actually known as the Copper Lady. Because her exterior is made entirely of copper, she originally shined bright with this reddish-brown hue. She looked exactly like a giant brand new penny. It actually took about 2 decades for the rain and air in New York Harbor to slowly oxidize the metal, creating that green chemical layer we call a patina.
So, here is our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the initial vision of freedom, explore the engineering behind a copper colossus, and trace the long struggle to build her.
All right, let's jump right into part 1, a vision of freedom, focusing on that 1865 dinner idea.
So picture this. The spark for this monumental landmark didn't actually happen in New York. It happened at a dinner party near Paris in 1865. A group of passionate Frenchmen who were ironically living under the dictatorial rule of Emperor Napoleon III were fiercely discussing the ideals of democracy. They were deeply inspired by the United States and wanted to create a monument to honor American values of liberty, hoping it might kind of spread like wildfire and encourage democratic pursuits in their own country. Well, a talented sculptor named Frédéric-Auguste Bartholdi was at that dinner, and he was captivated. He envisioned a colossal statue of the Roman goddess Libertas, and for the design, he looked very close to home. He modeled the statue's serene, compassionate face after his own mother, and used his wife as the inspiration for the body. And this project was always meant to be a joint effort, right? France would design and gift the statue, while the US would be responsible for building the massive pedestal she stands on.
Moving on to part 2, engineering a copper colossus and pushing 19th century limits.
You know, building a colossus wasn't like carving a single block of marble. It was a completely unprecedented engineering project for the 1800s. Bartholdi started with a small clay model, then scaled it up to larger plaster ones. Because the final statue was so enormous, it literally had to be built in pieces inside a workshop in Paris. To pull this off, they used a really painstaking method called repoussé. Artisans would build a strong wooden mold right up against a piece of the full-size plaster model. Then, they took 300 thin copper sheets and expertly hammered them into the wooden molds until they matched the shape perfectly. Finally, the copper was supported on the inside with iron straps. But here's the catch. On their own, these thin copper pieces could never support the immense weight of the towering statue. They desperately needed a backbone.
And this brilliantly illustrates how they solved that problem. Bartholdi brought in a structural engineer whose name you definitely know, Gustave Eiffel. Yep, the guy who would later build the Eiffel Tower. Eiffel implemented what architects call a curtain wall system. In a traditional building, the heavy exterior walls hold up the structure, but Eiffel designed a massive central iron pylon, like a giant metal spine, with smaller support beams radiating outward. The thin copper skin essentially just hangs off this strong internal frame. This revolutionary design not only supported the massive weight, but was incredibly flexible, allowing the entire statue to safely sway up to 12 centimeters in those heavy harbor winds, with the torch itself swaying up to 5 inches. She's quite literally dancing to the rhythm of freedom.
Which brings us to part 3, the struggle to build. A brilliant design meant absolutely nothing without decades of dedication.
The idea began in 1865, but completing it took 21 grueling years of relentless dedication. And this matters because it shows how dangerously close we came to never having this monument at all. The biggest hurdle? Money. The project was severely underfunded. To raise capital, Bartholdi had to get incredibly creative. By 1876, for the US centennial, he had only managed to finish the arm and the torch, so he shipped just that piece to Philadelphia and charged fairgoers 50 cents, which is about $15 today, to climb a 40-foot ladder right up into the balcony surrounding the flame. He also displayed the statue's massive head in France, charging admission there too. Eventually, after a decade of assembling the complete statue in Paris, it was taken apart into 350 individual pieces, packed into 214 massive wooden boxes, and absurdly shipped across the ocean to New York in 1885. It took another 4 months just to reassemble her on the pedestal before the wildly celebrated dedication in October of 1886.
From a grand idea shared over a French dinner table, to a staggering feat of architectural brilliance, to a welcoming mother of exiles, the Statue of Liberty is so much more than 2.4 millimeters of oxidized copper. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and I'll catch you next time.